Okay, got a clay penetration test for you. It's important to note when you do clay penetration tests, you always want to say the temperature. For instance, the temperature of this clay was about 68 degrees. Also, you want to make sure that both pieces of clay are the same size. And you don't want to just use one and then reform it and shoot it again, because if you do that, you make the clay softer than what it was when you first started. So that would leave the other pellet, more expansion, more penetration, because of the simple fact that you shot it once when it was cold and then you reformed it, and now it's softer. So that's not how you do the test. How you do the test is you have to do the same size pieces of clay, same temperature, and obviously the same pellet, and that's what we're doing now. So this is a Cro-Magnum pellet, and it's an 8.8 grain pellet. The hatsan 135, we got it going 1054 feet per second. And a gamo silent cat, we got 760. This is an experiment to show you the difference between a powerful super magnum spring piston rifle like the hatsan 135 right here and a standard spring piston rifle like the gamo silent cat. There is a difference. So these are not nitro pistons, they're just regular spring piston rifles. So as you can see from right here, you can see that the hatsan 135 has a bigger hole, but what we're going to do is we're going to open it up and look at it. Massive expansion and the hole size. If I take my pinky right here, my thumb, you can see by my thumb here. So silent cat's right here. So let's take this apart. I'm holding my camera, so I'm going to try to do the best I can. But I want you to see the expansion of both of these. So here's the hatsan 135. And as you can see, massive, massive, massive expansion, guys. Look at that. It just exploded right when it hit. Let's see if I can turn the light the right way so you can see it. So about the size of my thumb for the first inch, or no, for the first 3/4 inches, it's the size of my thumb, and then it tapers off smaller because the pellet literally just disintegrated and fell apart here. So let's see if we can find the pieces here. Okay, so look at that. It's just shreds. It's just completely exploded the whole entire pellet. That was where the hollow point was probably at. Okay, there's what's left of it. So it lost that whole cup. And I'll show you what I'm talking about on the hollow point here. So what we got in clay for 68 degrees Fahrenheit, the clay is approximately 2 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches tall. So we've got 1.5 penetration. So remember that comparing it to the silent cat. So let me show you the pellet real quick if I can. So I'm holding this camera with one hand. I used to have a stand, but I gotta go get it. Okay, there it is. You can see the cup right there. This is called Cro-Magnum, Beam Cro-Magnum. Also H&N has these too, so basically the same pellet. So they're very good, but you have to have the velocity to make them work good. Now a lot of people have shot in these with low velocity air rifles and they said, well, geez, it doesn't do nothing. Well, it won't, because you need the velocity. Cro-Magnums are hard-hitting, heavyweight hollow points. And the reason why they're 8.8 grain is because you keep it under Mach speeds, so you don't get that big loud sonic boom. but also you don't destroy your piston seal in here when it slams against the breech. You know, you want to run, 8.5, 9 grain pellets. You don't want anything that's going to slam against the breech too much, like them lightweight pellets. Nor nothing too heavy, so I don't shoot anything heavier than a 15 out of this one. This one here, you want to stop at about 11 grains. You don't want to go too heavy with this one. Some of the light pellets are under Mach speed, so you can shoot out of this, but this beast here, you got to put heavies in it. So 10 grains, this was 8.8, the one I'm shooting now. So this is the one I showed you, the expansion out of the 135. And from a distance, you can see the length of the barrels here and stuff. So if I pull this over, the length of the barrel is relatively the same. This one's got a baffle on it, but yeah, relatively the same. So here's the Gamo Silent Cat. This is the Hatsan 135. Let's look at the Silent Cat. So, and I showed you the velocities. And what I do too, before I shoot the clay, is I split it open and then put it back together with a knife. So it's easier to get apart. So I always do that. There we go. Yeah, I split it with the knife first and then fold it back before I shoot it. Okay. Okay, there we go. So the width is 1/4 inch, whereas the width on this one is over 1/2 inch. The depth on both pellets are about the same, I think. Yeah, about 1 1/4. No, this one's 1 1/2. So 1 1/4, 1 1/2. The Gamo pellet did expand and it bounced back up. So here it is right here. That's the ring that's part of the cup that's on the pellet. Whereas the 135, the ring blew up and scattered because it was too much pressure for it to handle. So there's the ring right there. And then here's the piece of lead embedded in here, the other part of the pellet. There it is right there. So the difference is, powerful super magnum and just a standard Gamo Silent Cat like this. There is a big difference on how hard these pellets hit and how they expand. Once again, this one was pretty wide. What I'll do is maybe I'll assemble it for you once again so you can see what I'm talking about, how wide it is. Or maybe from that angle you can kind of tell. There we go. Even though it's wider on the inside, let me take a ruler here. Yeah, about 1/2 inch. Okay, so it's over 1/2 inch once you get inside. And then the Gamo. And obviously you guys know hollow points aren't meant to really penetrate that far. Their duty is to expand and cause devastation, for them pest birds you got or something like that, or squirrel or something like this one here. You hit a frog with this thing, you probably split them in two. Literally. I mean, look at that. I have shot in frogs with this rifle before. It's about the size of my thumb right here. But when you shoot something on the water, the effects are more devastating too. So yeah, you got a pest bird or something, Hatsan 135 definitely. Or even squirrel hunting, but yeah, you don't want to eat squirrel with all these fragments here. So you'd have to reconsider maybe using something else, maybe a long round nose or something. So once again, we got it's a Cro-Magnum 8.8 grain Beeman. We got the Hatsan 135 at 1054 feet per second, the Silent Cat 760. So a few hundred feet more per second really does matter as far as penetration and expansion. So, well, more expansion more than anything. But here we go, guys. Here's the Hatsan 135 Gamo Silent Cat. This one's probably about 149. The Hatsan 135, you know, with the Turkish walnut or whatever this one's going to be, you know, maybe closer to 300 or something. But if you buy the Hatsan 125 and 177, it's virtually the same as this. This is called the 135 because of the stock, the wood stock or whatever. So $149 for this, maybe even cheaper, and maybe $200 if you buy the Hatsan 125 and 177 instead of the 135, so that you could save money, but that's the price you're looking at. So once again, from somebody that's been shooting spring piston rifles for years and years, you don't want to get in a habit of using lightweight pellets on springers, especially if they break the sound barrier. So you want to keep your pellets somewhat medium weight, but also you don't want to go too heavy. So something like the Hatsan 135, it's very powerful. I'll shoot a 15 grain sniper and I'll stop about there. This one, I'll shoot a Beeman Silver Arrow, 11.5 grain, and I'll stop there, which is the same as the H&N Silver Point, 11.5 grain. So that's just me, but I'm just saying I have never had to crack open any of my rifles, and I see that people are doing it online. Makes me question what they're doing. You know, how light of pellets are they shooting? Why do they have to crack them open and work on them? You know, I think sometimes you have to wonder if they're shooting light pellets or too heavy of a pellet and destroying them seals in there. You can destroy both seals, not just the breech seal, but you can destroy the piston cup seal in here. You don't see any videos of me cracking open my rifles because I never have to. So, because I follow the rules of good maintenance and making sure I do my part. Now, there will be times when you'll have to send one back. You know, I realize there's issues, you know, with rifles sometimes, but for the most part, a lot of people don't understand spring piston rifles, you know, the maintenance and the etiquette, I guess you call it, of making sure you don't shoot them light pellets. You know, give it a diet of medium weight pellets, about 9 grain. Both of these, 9 grain, up to about 10, you know, even if it's 8.5, but this one might, you know, at 8.5, she might try to bust the sound barrier. So it's up to you guys, but too light or too heavy is bad. So just remember that. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching the video. So I thought this would be a fun little thing to do for you guys. So thanks.